And now we have on the show Winston Casio, spokesperson of the Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission, one of the key agencies that built the case against Alice Guo. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Hi, Gretchen. Magandang umaga po at magandang umaga sa iyong taga-subaybay.
A guilty verdict for Alice Guo and 7 others. How significant is this for PAOCC, and how does this help you with other cases?
Well, for one, napakahalaga nito because this is the first time that someone or some individuals were convicted for organizing a business enterprise for the purposes of conducting trafficking in persons. So this is precedent-setting. So nasabi na rin kahapon ni Undersecretary Nicholas Felix T. ng Department of Justice that the same case theory has been used to file the criminal charges against Cassandra Ong and Harry Roque. So we're hoping that with this precedent setting, we'll be able to secure a similar conviction against the individuals we charged at Lucky South 99. Second, the Baupu compound or the Bamban compound has now been forfeited in favor of the state. That's around 6 billion pesos worth of real estate property. So malaking bagay po yun.
Okay, you mentioned that this could be used in the cases against Harry Roque and Cassandra Ong. In what capacity was Alice Guo linked to the crimes inside the POGO hub? She was direct owner, tama po ba?
Yeah,
Corporator.
she was a direct owner. She owned the land, basically the land that became the Baupu compound. So ang case theory doon was she bought the land with express intention of setting up a business for the purposes of Philippine offshore gaming operation. Not only that, that in itself is not a crime. But we were able to prove, the state was able to prove that the Zone 1 technology, though in paper was a Philippine offshore gaming operation licensed, duly licensed by PAGCOR, but nevertheless the business operations was more on scamming and human trafficking. Kaya that in itself we were able to prove that in court, so we were able to convict her and the 7 others.
Is it possible, were they able to establish that she knew all the things happening inside the POGO hub? Because this could also be a precedent for other landowners who leased out to the POGO hubs and POGO companies.
I wasn't able to read the other portions of the decision yet. Yung dispositive portion pa lang ang nabasa ko. But nevertheless, the law is quite clear. If you allow your property to be used for purposes of trafficking in persons, you're guilty of organizing trafficking in persons by itself. Now, if you are a landowner or if you are a landlord, a lessor of some sort, you're duty bound to conduct due diligence for what purpose or purposes your property is being used, right? So failure to do so, at the very minimum, would expose you to civil liability. But here, we're not just talking of civil liability, we're talking of criminal liability. The state was able to prove that.
And how many were the victims of human trafficking by this specific POGO hub?
We were able to rescue more than 300 foreign nationals therein. And the complainants, there were 6 basically complainants were able to prove that there was a systematic trafficking in person activities inside Zone 1 technology or Bamban.
For reparations po, ito pong 6 lang ang malamang ang makakatanggap po nun.
That I would not be able to answer at this point.
Okay.
Kasi that would be before the Department of Justice. But what we are certain of is the property has been forfeited in favor of the state. A portion of that property proceeds, a portion of the proceeds of that property will go to the Department of Justice, IACAT, Interagency Council Against Trafficking, to finance and sustain their anti-trafficking efforts.
Okay. And what evidence do you think was the most crucial in securing a guilty verdict?
Well, it's a confluence of of evidence Kasi for one, we've got a number of documentary evidence that point to Alice Guo being a direct participant of the business of Zunyuan. Second, we were also able to secure testimonial evidence. Foreign nationals who were victimized, who were maltreated, and who were forced into scamming activities inside Sunyuan. Second, we were also able to secure testimonial evidence from two individuals who were incorporators but who were merely used as dummies to be incorporators of Sunyuan technology. And their testimony was they they were personally instructed by Alice Guo or Guwaping and paid $500,000 each to affix their signatures as dummies for Sunyuan technology.
So, yung dun po sa 7 others, would you know if ito po yung mga business partners po niya?
4 of them were foreign nationals who were convicted for acts of trafficking. Magkaiba po kasi yun. Si Alice Guo and the 3 others, the Chinese nationals primarily Wang Ziyang, Lin Baoying, and Xiang Ruijin, the 4 of them were convicted for organizing a business for trafficking in persons. Yung 4 naman po, they were convicted for acts of trafficking. Yun na yung they induced, they forced people to conduct this and that. So, magkaiba po yun.
So, ito po ay foreign nationals din ho, yung 7.
No. Meron pang, if I am not mistaken, 3 were tried in absentia, but the conviction was not secured yet because they did not appear in court. But the 3 others were Filipinos. Let me correct myself.
Really? And in what capacity were they involved?
Well, they were the incorporators, no? And they were not dummies. They were able to prove that they knew what they were getting into. Unlike others that were, there were a few others who were not convicted because they didn't knew what they were getting into. And 2 of those, by the way, 2 other Filipinos who were originally charged turned into state witnesses. Sila yung nagpatunay that they were paid $500,000 each to be able to sign the incorporation papers. And it was Alice Guo who talked to them personally and paid them $500,000 each.
Okay. If ever ho at no si Cassandra Ong, would she have the same type of cases Alice Guo?
Well, we have already filed criminal cases against the PORAC principals, and that includes Cassandra Ong and the former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. In fact, criminal arrest warrants have already been issued against them. Unfortunately, we have not been able to arrest Cassandra Ong yet. But we were able to arrest some of her cohorts na. Well, you know that former presidential spokesman is seeking asylum in Netherlands. So we've already applied for a red notice or an international police arrest warrant against the former presidential spokes. Unfortunately, it's still going through the process now. So we're still waiting for the red notice to be issued.
Pero dun po sa involvement ni Harry Roque, dating presidential spokesperson, hindi po ba siya po ay nailista doon sa parang legal team po nung korporasyon sa PORAC? Have you been able to establish that he also had some kind of awareness when it comes to the illegal activities in the hub, that he was complicit, that hindi lang ipinasok yung pangalan niya?
Well, that is his legal defense. That is his defense that he didn't know that he was doing this and that. But remember, during the Quadcom hearings as well as the Senate hearings last year, two individuals have testified that Mr. Roque went to the PAGCOR to be able to, well, secure licenses, permits, and assistance for Lucky South 99. And these were PAGCOR Chair Alteco and PAGCOR VP Jessa Fernandez, no? So we used that as part of our evidence against Mr. Roque. But more than that, the case theory that we used has already been sustained by a lower court dito sa Alice Guo case. And we are certain that Alice Guo and her legal team will appeal before higher court, siguro Court of Appeals or maybe Supreme Court directly. So we're hoping that we will be sustained by both higher courts. And once we do so, then we are fairly once we get that, we're very confident that we can secure the same conviction against Mr. Roque.
Okay. And going back to the case of Alice Guo, no? Have we been able to establish ever why she was here? Or was she just a Chinese national trying to illegally stay in the Philippines, or was she part of a bigger conspiracy?
The court was able to prove already that she's not a Filipino. The court in Tarlac has already nullified via quo warranto her passport and her birth certificate. Proven na yan that she is not a Filipino national. Second, with regards to the question, were we able to prove that she is part of a criminal conspiracy? Criminal conspiracy, yes. She is part of the Fujian group. Yung Fujian group kasi nito that basically includes her father, Duan Renwo, and Jiang Jie, two individuals who are also known in the Lucky South 99 or POGO, are basically ringleaders of the Fujian group. Now, with regards to whether she's part of a spy network and of some sort, that we have no evidence either way. PAOCC remains mum on that because we have no evidence either way.
Yung pong siya po ay may suspicions po that she might be a foreign intelligence asset.
Yes, on that we have no evidence either way, Gretchen.
Okay, okay.
We're very mum on that. Mahirap
Alright, okay.
ano yan.
Okay. What will happen now to the Bamban site? Has the government expressed intentions on what this might be turned into?
Initially, it will have to be turned over to the Bureau of Treasury. So then, I guess the Bureau of Treasury will seek the guidance of the Office of the President kung ano ang magiging gamit nito. But we have to remember that as far as the law that convicted Alice Guo, our Anti-Trafficking in Persons Law, Republic Act 9208, portion of the proceeds from the sale, auction, or whatsoever of that property must go to the Department of Justice and Interagency Council Against Trafficking to sustain their anti-trafficking activities.
Okay. And of course, this is just the first of the POGO hubs that should be tried. Kamusta naman po yung paghahabol po natin doon sa iba pang mga POGO companies, and how many illegal workers remain in the country?
Let me answer the last question. As far as PAOCC is concerned, we still have 211 in our detention, in our custody, awaiting their deportation proceedings. Medyo natatagalan because some of them are facing criminal charges as well. Some do not have their documents, so to speak, to be able to exit the country. Now, how many POGO hubs how many POGO cases do we still have? A good number. In fact, with regards to Alice Guo, she's still facing 52 other criminal and civil charges.
52?
No? Yes, ma'am.
Wow.
That includes anywhere from environmental violations, civil forfeiture, a good number. Now, with regards to PORAC, we've already filed a good number of cases against them, as well as civil forfeiture. The other day, we already submitted for resolution. I filed a criminal complaint against the owner of the hotel that we raided in Lapu-Lapu in October of 2024, because we're proceeding also with civil forfeiture para makuha din po namin yung hotel na yon. Also, well, I'm on the way to the Department of Justice now to file another criminal complaint against the owners and cohorts of another POGO that we raided in August of 2023. We're filing August of 2023. We're filing additional criminal charges to make sure that even after that, to be able to ensure that we get the property before the end of this current administration.
Nabanggit niyo ho, no, that you're looking also into POGOs na maaaring nag-transition yung iba from offshore gaming to inshore gaming. Do we have evidence of that becoming a trend?
Well, nung nakaraang October, if I'm not mistaken, November of last year, we were able to raid one property in Bataan that we believe was hiding behind the veneer of being a BPO, a business process outsource company. And we're seeing indications of that trend. We've been getting reports from the intelligence communities of the police and the military, as well as the NBI, as well as reports from former workers who are Filipinos saying that some of their Filipino friends, Filipino colleagues, were recruited into such schemes. Hindi nila tinatawag ang kanilang sarili bilang POGO, tinatawag nila ang kanilang sarili bilang call center agent, CSR. Pero, ang sabi nila at nagpapadala sila ng mga screenshots and so on and so forth, na yung indikasyon ng negosyo ay hindi naman CSR, kundi they're accepting bets from the outside. So sabi namin, that is POGO. So, hindi lang po kami makapagkasa ng mga operasyon ngayon sapagkat bagong labas yung batas. The anti-POGO law was only signed by the President October 17, last month, di ba? So we're waiting na makonstitute yung aming Administrative Oversight Committee with PAOCC's chair, DOJ, DICT, and DILG as members. Nang sa gayon, we'd be able to come up with a new manual of operation sapagkat iba na po itong legal na battle na ito kasi this is purely scamming and purely violations of our law against POGO.
So wala naman ho na mga POGO na lumipat sa Philippine market na yun naman po ang tina-target. Kasi yun po yung pagkakaiba niya di ba? You accept bets naman from within and that was the fear actually that they might be victimizing mga Pilipino naman.
Well, there is a very fine line between offshore gaming and inland gaming. The only difference is, yun nga, tama ka, yung bettors who are offshore, mga banyaga, inland ay mga Filipino. So, we are very careful in doing case build-up in relation to this kasi legal yung inland gaming, no? Legal legal yung pagpapataya sa mga Pilipino. Ang amin na lamang dino-double check is may kaukulang permit po ba ito galing from PAGCOR or wherever. So now it's up to the policymakers to decide on what they do about it.
Okay, maraming salamat po. Thank you for giving us the latest on the fight against illegal gambling. And as you mentioned, this is a win for PAOCC and for our justice system and sets a precedent for other cases. Maraming salamat for your work on this. We have Winston Casio of the Philippine Anti-Organized Crime Commission.